2020. As we have already established, we'll take the chairman of the PTF COVID-19. We'll receive the reports from the Minister of Health, the DGN CDC, the National Coordinator. We have one report coming in from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, after which we shall take the questions from members of the press. So we begin this afternoon with the remarks by the Secretary to Government and Chairman, PTF COVID-19. SGF, sir.
Members of the Presidential Task Force, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, I welcome you to the national briefing by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 for Thursday, 7th of May, 2020. The Presidential Task Force continues to monitor the level of compliance with the guidelines issued under Phase 1 of the eased restrictions. It is our considered opinion that the appeal to all Nigerians to fully comply with the guidelines must be sustained, because these are unusual times and the seemingly calm atmosphere should not be construed as a return to normalcy. Non-compliance is manifesting in several ways and could be costly in the future. Reports from various parts of the country at the close of yesterday's 6th May 2020 indicate the following. High level of non-compliance with the ban on interstate travels. This resulted in a high number of vehicles finding their way across many state borders despite the curfew and border restrictions. 2, lack of respect for timing, and the curfew also resulted in heavy traffic gridlock where many motorists spent the night following the enforcement of the curfew. And 3, increasing level of abuse of exemption granted to vehicles conveying specific goods. Reports across the country show that they continue to hide passengers with the intention of ferrying them across state boundaries. And 4, continuation or continual transportation of the Almajiris across state borders is still evident. I have highlighted the foregoing as it relates to road transportation sector to underscore the dangers inherent in the seeding of the virus across states. I, however, commend the security agencies for their vigilance in apprehending and prosecuting violators. It is worrisome, however, to note reports received about isolated cases of compromise by some security operatives. We urge the various commands of the security agencies to enhance their monitoring machinery to ensure that we do not only achieve the objective of stopping the spread of the virus, but also prevent the good name of the services from being tarnished. We also implore all Nigerians to alert the security agencies whenever they witness the violation of these guidelines. It is important to remember that this is a war in which every Nigerian is a combatant and must resist any effort by a few individuals or groups to endanger our collective survival. The extension of the ban on all flights for additional 4 weeks takes effect from tonight, as reported to you yesterday. We shall, however, continue to give exemptions for flights in circumstances that are considered essential. Yesterday, the first batch of 256 Nigerian evacuees from the United Arab Emirates arrive into Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos. In accordance with our protocol, all evacuees have been taken into 14-day isolation at designated facilities in Lagos. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control will conduct appropriate tests to determine their status within the period of isolation. The Presidential Task Force is finalizing arrangements for similar evacuation from other parts of the world, and you would be adequately briefed on developments by the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Once again, I want to express the appreciation of the Presidential Task Force COVID-19 to the Governor of Lagos State for his support in identifying and securing the facility for the mandatory 14-day isolation of these returnees. The Presidential Task Force has become aware of a number of challenges associated with the management of the isolation centers. These have manifested in the form of protests over welfare, abscondment from centers, and loud complaints based on the assumption by persons under observation that drugs must be administered. The first two are unhealthy developments capable of undermining the containment measures and putting the lives of care managers and frontline workers at risk. Similarly, persons in isolation are encouraged to follow the direction and instructions of the experts during their stay as treatment to be administered will largely depend on the evaluation of the doctors. However, we urge all state governments to continue to pay attention to the welfare of people in isolation and for security agencies to provide adequate security around such facilities to prevent escape. For some time now, there have been claims of inventions and cures related to COVID-19. The Presidential Task Force, as part of its mandate, remains supportive of and receptive to outcomes of research. It, however, finds it imperative to reiterate its position on the need for such discoveries to undergo the scientific validation processes. The Presidential Task Force is aware that the Complementary and Alternative Medicine Department of the Federal Ministry of Health has been evaluating such claims and forwarded some that have met the preliminary requirements to the Nigerian Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, to carry out the necessary procedures for listing. At the briefing of Wednesday, 6th May 2020, we urge professional bodies and trade associations, community and religious bodies, along with other relevant stakeholders, to take up the challenge of creating awareness on COVID-19 and also project into the post-COVID-19 era. I'm pleased to inform you that the Nigerian Institute of Architects has taken up this challenge and has, in addition, conveyed the commitment of members of the Institute in all the states of the Federation to offer free consultancy services, including design, remodeling, supervision, etc., for COVID-19 related infrastructure, such as isolation centers, test laboratories, and upgrading of health facilities. While the Presidential Task Force deeply appreciates this offer and look forward to receiving such from other professional bodies, we urge all state governments to save costs by taking advantage of this offer. Finally, let me reiterate our call to all Nigerians to continue to collaborate with government at all levels in the implementation of these guidelines. I will now cede the podium to the Honorable Minister of Health, thereafter the DG, Nigerian Center for Disease Control, and the National Coordinator to respectfully provide updates on new developments. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon, everybody. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, all ministers here present,